Good day, everybody, to Replay Roundtable, the second episode of this podcast. Featuring today is a game called Dead Space. We will be reviewing it and talking about it in its entirety. Stay tuned till the end. It's going to be amazing. Please like and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoy, and now on to the video. Replay Roundtable. Hi everybody, welcome to episode 2. Today we're going to be talking about a game called Dead Space. It's a sci-fi horror type of game, I think you meant. Survival horror space situation. And we're doing that one because apparently there's a remake coming out, and I thought it'd be relevant to talk about, and also it's just a good game. Alright, so again, Brody, and here with Will and Eddie.
Hey.
So, basically the storyline of this is there's a guy named Isaac. He's an engineer, and he's been called into this, it was a distress call coming from this ship that apparently has lost all power, and something has happened, and him and his team are going in to figure out what happened and to restore power and to see what happened to this team.
Yeah, it's an entire mining ship that's like almost like its own colony.
Yeah, it's called the Ishimura, I believe.
Ishimura.
And, I believe there's also a colony on the planet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you're right.
Or I thought they were just mining the planet.
I think there's a mining colony.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and they must be mining the planet too, probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
Well, yeah, they do. The interesting thing about the way they mine in this universe is they do something called planet cracking, where they literally take a giant chunk out of the planet to like pull it away and like analyze what's in the planet and what's in the rock and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, and that's what the Ishimura is. It's a planet cracker.
Oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. At first I was like, because there's a point in time where like that happens.
Yeah, I think I heard what I was listening to yesterday is that it was the first planet cracker.
Oh, okay, cool.
Okay.
I think there are others, but like it was the first one built, and
it's like the pioneer ship.
Yeah, it's kind of maybe more a little bit of trivia there, but.
Oh yeah. So start off the overall thoughts of the game. Well, what is your overall thoughts of Dead Space?
I really like this game. It was something I couldn't really get into the gameplay for that. I played a little bit of it, but I really like the story and all the atmosphere and all of that. I've watched through all the gameplays of all three of them, but for some reason, I don't know, the gameplay just didn't really hook me. But
fair enough.
The story and the atmosphere were what really got me for this game.
Cool. Eddie?
Personally, it's one of my like top games of all time. The first one especially. Yeah. The second and the third, I think, have a lot more problems, but I feel like they also add things, but I feel like they also take away. I think that, in my opinion, the first Dead Space is a nearly flawless survival horror game. It is exactly, if you're a fan of survival horror, it is like exactly what you're looking for. It has the limited ammo, it has the fear, it has the isolation, it has the building up yourself and like getting more badass as you progress through the game. And yeah, it's one of my favorite games.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, for me, it's one of my favorite games as well. But I just like the isolation of the whole fact of it being in space. Space is always just like terrifying in itself, so that already makes it very terrifying just to be like, there's not much really where else you can go other than like in parts of the ship, but like if that were to blow up, let's say, you're in space and you're gonna die.
Sci-fi horror is definitely one of my favorite genres.
Yeah, me too. And like as you guys were saying, I am quite a big fan of just like how it's done, and the fact that you can upgrade yourself and become more badass as you go through. And the creatures are just generally terrifying. Like when they come in, you're like, what the fuck? And they're so scary for me.
I'd say across the board, design in this game is like top notch. It was revolutionary when it came out.
Yeah, I think part of the reason why I couldn't get into the gameplay and that sort of thing is I came to the series fairly late, so the game was already a bit dated by the time I kind of got into that sort of thing. So.
Yeah, and I think I bought it on day one. So did you? Yeah, bought it on day one, and I think I beat it like 2 days later. I just burned through the game. I was like, oh my god, I've been waiting for this.
Yeah. I remember when I didn't get it on day one because I remember when I got it was when you were playing at your place, and I remember you playing like, what the hell is this? And it's called This Space, and like watched it. I'm like, this is pretty sweet.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah. And then I picked it up and I was like, this game's awesome. But yeah, so like in general, this game is, I don't know, it's got a lot of great points in it. The writing is quite good. The story is quite good as well. The characters are likable or hated. Like they're done quite well just in general. I'm a very fan of Isaac. Isaac in his suit are really sweet looking. I like the fact that like at the back of the armor is where your health is.
The character design for Isaac is quite well done.
Yeah,
I enjoy that.
Well, on top of the health thing, it's kind of a HUD-less game. It doesn't have an actual HUD because everything is in universe. You know,
it's on the back of your character.
Yeah, or even like the tutorial things. You know, they are linked to Isaac's suit. They like travel with him because it's like something he's seeing. You know.
Yeah, which I really like because the HUD's like is good to have, so you know what you got going on, like your ammo or whatever. But it kind of takes you out of it because you're playing a game. Right. But when you are doing that and you see like just on the guy, you're like, this makes sense.
Yeah, it's easier to immerse yourself in the game.
That's right. That's what I was trying to say. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so let's go through the overall scene by scene kind of situation.
I don't know if we want to go scene.
Won't
by
be scene by scene because like a lot of scenes. But,
more like main points.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Isaac comes into the go to the Ishimura and they crash land inside. Because I guess their landing gear failed or something like that.
Yeah, and well, the ship isn't responding at all, as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so they crash in the docking bay. I think they get out and Isaac tries to look around to see what's happening, and the rest of the team they're all like isolated behind this glass, and then they eventually get attacked by these things called necromorphs. I think is what they're called.
Yeah.
And. So one guy just straight up just dies, and then the other guys peace out, and then we don't get to see. There was this character named Nicole. There's Isaac. There's Hammond. There's also a doctor. Can't remember his name.
Her name's Mel or something like that. I can't.
Oh, Kendra. I think.
Kendra. Yeah.
Yes, Kendra.
And Kendra.
Like how Mel got you to Kendra. That's
right. Like, what? That doesn't make any sense.
No.
But whatever works. So after that, he just goes around the ship and tries to fix certain parts of the ship that are not working, and as they go through that, there's lots of monsters that come your way. Is there anything you guys want to mention on like what happens going forward?
I mean, I do enjoy the way that the game is paced, and I think it is also a game that because there's a lot of parts where which is kind of classic survival horror, parts where you go through an area and then later in the game you'll come back and it's changed in some way.
Yeah.
And like I kind of enjoy that in this game. A lot of people sometimes are like, oh, well, that's like lazy like level design and stuff, but I think it works really well in this one.
Yeah, for sure.
It helps save development time too.
Yeah.
It's not the best to have reused areas, but if something changes and it's different, then I don't see the problem with it.
Yeah, me neither. I agree.
Also, there's some really cool stuff in this game, like the fact that you have a kinesis and like a stasis module, which is basically like telekinesis and being able to slow things down.
Yeah.
And like those are both really cool ideas to have in something like a survival horror game.
Yeah,
because they just give you like that edge of like why you're able to survive this crazy ass environment when everybody else is dead.
Yeah, and it only makes sense like why they would give you those kind of things like telekinesis powers or slow things down, because when you're engineering and you're fixing things, it would be good to slow things down so you can fix it, or lift things up you can't reach with your hands and then do your thing there, so it makes sense.
Or large heavy objects sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, I love the world building in this game, and actually this whole series. It all seems to make a good amount of sense, which can be missing in games often. That they're just like, well, we need this gameplay element, so just make it work. But
yeah,
I find this series tries to actually like justify the reasons behind why you have gameplay elements, which is really cool.
Yeah, that is really neat.
Sure.
They don't do that.
That's definitely good to have. The closer you can get between gameplay and story, the better.
Yeah, I completely agree on that. So anyway, so like after that, Isaac has to run away from this, like the first necromorph, and you go into the elevator, and the elevator closes and kills it. But just like that going forward is hard to explain, like in the fact of like what you feel like when you go through it. But I thought that was like really terrifying when I first went through that.
Oh yeah, well I mean you're completely defenseless at that point. Like you don't have any weapons, and and the game doesn't like handhold. If you don't run, you get murked, like right away.
Yeah. And I hate how they come. Well, I hate, but I love. When I say I hate in horror movies, it means I like it. They come out of like pretty much any like air duct that was around, and they just pop out and you're like, fucking goddamn it, and it scares the shit out of me every time. But so like I guess they're like when this happens, the quarantine has like when Isaac restarts like the power, which brings on the quarantine zone that they had before. I guess like there was like some sort of like a alarm going off for quarantining because of what's happening to these alien life forms or whatever.
Yeah, there's actually an anime movie that is a prequel to the game.
Yeah, I have that actually.
Yeah, and it tells like the story of what happened on the Ishimura before Isaac's team showed up,
which I think was a really cool idea.
Yeah,
quite like that. Trying to think. It's kind of hard when it comes to games to like go point by point.
Well, basically, like for the whole game, you're basically just going from place to place, trying to get things online to either make contact with like Earth or whatever colony they launched from.
Yeah,
and get things running enough that like hopefully they can survive and better defend themselves and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There is a point where a military ship ends up coming towards them, which is probably the most confusing part of the first game, because somehow there's necromorphs on that.
Was there?
Before it crashes in, yeah.
Well, they picked up the. There was a point where
the escape pod.
Yeah, the Isaac's captain had locked a necromorph in an escape pod. He thought it was dead, and then you see it like pop up and freak out, and they eject the pod, and the military vessel picks up that escape pod.
Is that really what happens?
Yeah.
How did I not see that? Okay, well, I guess I didn't see the entirety of that thing I was trying to watch. It was like an hour and a half, and that's why I had to watch Midsummer as well to get like it all fresh in my brain. So I didn't watch it fully, but that's interesting. That's hilarious. Being like,
that's
so
what happens.
Locked him in here, shoot out, grab it, shit.
Which actually is like one of my favorite parts of that game is like you just see the little ship like as this little twinkle in the like among the stars basically, and then it just gets bigger and it just keeps coming towards your ship, and you're like, oh my god, it's coming, oh my god, and then it crashes into the Ishimura.
What the fuck? Why? But yeah, so as the game goes forward, you notice that like apparently there's like this doctor, I can't remember his name. I broke down fucking. Well, Kine was the other one. Fucking what is it?
Callus.
Callus?
Dr. Callus Mercer?
Mercer. I put down the last name and I put it way down on my list.
Yeah, and then there's Dr. Terrence Kine.
Okay, yeah, the Mercer guy
who is like kind of under the thrall of the marker, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because Mercer was saying that like he's noticed that Kine has been talking to the marker or whatever, and talking to his wife has been dead for a long time.
Yeah.
And apparently the marker does that, where it makes you feel paranoid, talks to things that aren't there, and then you go slowly insane, kind of thing. Yeah, it makes you hallucinate as well. And so like Mercer's the main bad guy basically in this. He turns out to be like the main bad guy, and he wants to like bring it upon the Earth or whatever, because he's like, these are my life forms or whatever. I've created the most like, what is it, the it's kind of like Alien almost,
Yeah, I was reading some trivia. They say there's a decent amount of points that kind of like they've kind of like taken a little bit from Alien here and there.
Yeah.
You can see the influence of this game.
Oh yeah.
Of Alien. I mean, especially probably like I'd say it's heaviest. That's a word. It's most heavily inspired by probably the first one, honestly, because it's the whole isolation and like alone on a ship, like floating through space where there's danger everywhere, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, both of the alien organisms use other life forms in order to reproduce.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, because then eventually, because I think that there's a point in time where when you're trying to get the rig from the captain that is already deceased, who's in the morgue, and you have to get like they barricaded themselves in there for when shit went down. So you have to, which I want to bring up in the fact of like he had to get like thermite from like the medical storage thing. But it's like, why is thermite in the medical storage thing? That doesn't make any sense. It seems weird.
It must be used for something else as well.
I don't know how, but okay. I mean, it's space. Who fucking knows? Or like sci-fi.
I don't know.
But when you go in there, you see like this weird flappy thing like taking over the fucking the captain.
Yeah.
And then it turns into the necromorph and then busts through the glass. You got to kill it, and then you pick up the rig.
Yeah, I think the life or the way the marker affects humanity is really cool because it starts out by starting to make you kind of go insane, and then you'll end up killing people probably because the insanity drives you to that.
Yeah.
And then they use the bodies to create necromorphs, which kill more people so that they can make more necromorphs.
Yeah.
That's an interesting cycle.
It is, and I don't quite understand. It's like, what is it? Is it like an alien life form, or is it like a disease or a virus? Like, what is it?
I'm pretty sure it's some sort of like anti-intelligence device, basically. So it's basically like...
You talking about the marker?
Yeah, the marker. It's basically like something that like will either destroy intelligence or form it into like what they call like the ultimate life form, which is like a hive mind kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that's what it's the marker's purpose is for, is to turn worlds into these hive minds.
Okay, and
I think it goes into more lore and stuff in future games. You don't really get
too much.
I don't think you really get too much into in this one.
Not really. I mean, you do fight like one of the hive creatures at the end.
Yeah, the big tentacle thing.
Yeah, but I don't think like it's been fully I don't think the planet's been fully converted. It's just kind of in the early stages, sort of thing.
Yeah, because remember they were saying that they're mentioning that the marker, there's a red one and a black one.
Yes,
the black one, I think, is a replica of the red one, I think.
No,
it's a man-made one.
Other way around.
Other way around? Okay.
Yeah.
And they man-made it, and somehow it's still causing problems and making people paranoid and whatever else. Like, I don't quite understand it. Because it's doing like what the other marker did, but it's man-made. And it's
somebody made a replica of the original markers.
Okay, and it's on like an alien planet. I'm assuming that was from an alien life form before. They had the marker, probably. That was like their thing, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it like converts planets into, from what I understand, it converts planets into these hive minds. There's a name for them, but I didn't look too much into this because I'm pretty sure this game doesn't go that far in.
No,
I don't think so.
But then once the planet has been fully converted, it starts creating markers and firing them out into space. To turn other planets.
So it's a planet trying to take over other planets?
It's almost like a virus. Like it's kind of like a virus sort of thing. Like it spreads.
But the planet has made the marker?
The planets create the markers after
because they're basically converted. like think Ego, the living planet from Marvel.
Yeah,
they're like a living form. Their life form that is taking the shape of a planet.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a hive mind that can create more markers.
That is definitely a really interesting idea.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't see that.
Which is kind of, honestly, like, they were about... I'm not a huge fan of 3, because they went way too action-y with it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of unfortunate. Like, there's some really cool sequences and everything, but like, it's such a far cry from the first game. But yeah, it seemed at the end of that they were about to start like the apocalypse, basically, because, well, especially there's a DLC afterwards too that like basically they get back to Earth, and yeah, there's a bunch of these hive mind planets surrounding Earth.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, they moved in.
Yeah, basically.
Okay. And that's on 3, like DLC for 3, because I remember I bought the 3 and never played it.
No.
Yeah, because like half of it's because I just never got to it. Another reason of it is because I heard it was a lot of action. I'm like, oh, they kind of went off the formula of like of being like it's all like, because the thing I don't really like when it comes to these survival horror games is when they give you too much ammo and too much everything, and you just blast right through it. The whole point of a survival horror is the fact you have to survive to find a way around.
In 3,
it.
you're literally fighting dudes with guns sometimes.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, like
I don't know if I like that.
Once in a while, there'll be like commandos with machine guns shooting at you, and you got to kill them.
Are they taken over by something?
No.
Oh.
They're just dudes.
Well, that's dumb. Oh,
Yeah.
whatever. Okay, because it'd be kind of cool if they were kind of like, you know, StarCraft, where like
there are some enemies like that, but they're
Terrans.
the infested Terrans, where they're all like kind of taking over, and they have like their guns are kind of shooting erratically everywhere. That'd be kind of neat, but that's kind of dumb. And what else?
Well, and like the whole reason Isaac is even there is because he's trying to find his.
Well, he was sent to repair the ship, but also his wife.
Well, I think why he took the job.
Oh, right,
Yeah.
because she's there and she hasn't like responded or something like that.
Yeah.
And he's trying to find her, and her name's Nicole, I believe.
Yes.
And then later,
he has a final transmission from her.
Yeah.
And so he knows she's there.
Yeah, so and I guess Hammond's been like, and I'll help you find Nicole when you help us do this whole thing. And he's like, sure. And I guess I mean, I'm not really sure what else we can talk about as far as like what the beats go, because like what happens it's just him going around fixing shit.
Yeah, and
things attacking you.
Yeah, like, and you have to fix different shit, and there's a couple boss fights, and like there's a couple sequences that like take away from it a little bit. Like, for example, the asteroid shooting part is kind of for it to be there. And like you also end up running into your girlfriend / wife, and you have to protect her for a little bit.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And
she pops up every once in a while.
Yeah. So yeah, she's apparently alive, but of course not.
Yeah.
Another interesting piece of trivia is if you take the first letter of each of the chapter names, it spells out Nicole is dead.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's hilarious. All right, interesting.
Yeah.
Nicole is dead.
Yeah.
But she's like, her like transmission pops up every once in a while and goes like, Isaac, make us whole again, or something like that.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, well, I feel like you're dead already, just because like, who says that? But whatever. Like, I mean, it could be hallucinations, is what kind of trying to like drive forward. But I kind of half expected that to be the case. But yeah, it turns out that she's been dead the whole time. She killed herself when things went down, because she thought that like things were just too far to go back.
I think she was trying to stop herself from becoming one of them.
Could be that. Yeah.
They can do it to dead bodies, so it's kind
of it's like,
well, and maybe not being ripped apart too. She like euthanizes herself with like something toxic, right?
Yeah.
And that sounds not quite as bad as being ripped apart by one of those monsters.
Doesn't sound as bad.
Yeah. One mechanic that I thought was really cool too is when you're in, I think it's 0G, and you can kind of launch off of a wall and land on another wall, and that kind of becomes the floor.
Yeah, I thought that was neat.
That was
cool.
a super cool.
And it also the level design is really well built for that too, for those parts, right?
Yeah, I totally agree.
There's some parts that are really frustrating during those parts though. Like I remember when you're launching like an asteroid off to like send a beacon or something.
Yeah.
And like there's these spinning
the turbines?
The things that go around it, and you have to land on it and then plant something and then fly off before you get nailed by those.
Yeah, I've just been like standing there and it's like, shit, and just like fucking demolishes you, and I've done like 5 times. I'm like, can you not blow me up every time? So I think Kine was like, for some reason, talking to he got the captain to be detained. Yeah. Because he was like not fit for duty or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then he tried to like syringe him with something, but got him in the eye and killed him instead. And he's like, he came at me or whatever. Like, I was just trying to stop this. Right. And it's like, arrest him. And it's like, I did. Okay. Because the fact of, like, that they're listening to him. And then after, because I thought, like, oh, he killed him. Okay. They were just, it was mutiny. They killed him because he was too far gone. And then they're like, no, arrest him. I'm like, but who was in charge? I'm confused.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what happened there.
Yeah, me neither. It's weird.
I think in the anime, the captain is kind of going nuts because of the marker.
Yeah.
And Kind goes to like calm him down, and it's like an accident. He like goes to attack him, and instead of getting him in like the neck or the chest or wherever he was going, gets him in the eye and kills him.
Okay, and it's just weird that he has like he's a doctor, and yet he's telling these guards what to do. But it's like, who's the acting officer that should be there? They should be telling what to do.
But he is high up in the chain of command because he has a direct link to the. I can't remember what the company, because like they've got their.
I can't remember what the acronym stands for, but I think it's CDC.
Oh really?
Oh, okay.
And he's high up in the CDC, and there's also some underlying stuff about there's like a cult. That's like, or not cult. It's more like a religion.
It's like a religion, yeah.
That's actually focused on the marker.
Yeah,
right?
it started when when the marker was found or something.
Yeah, the original one, because they found one on Earth.
Okay.
Yeah, they found a black marker on Earth, and then that's what they used to create the red markers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say next that the markers that were in that, I believe that one of them is on the ship, and that's why it's causing everything to go crazy because.
I think they brought the marker onto the ship, but later it gets transported down to the planet somehow.
Yeah,
that's like the end of the game, I think. Yeah.
It's on the ship to start with, and then one of the doctors, I think it's whatever, the one that's crazy but not trying to kill you.
Yeah.
He gets you to bring the marker down to the planet.
Right.
Isn't he telling you that you can use it to seal something
like that?
He's trying to convince you that that's what he's doing, but it's bullshit.
But it's like not that at all.
No.
I'm not sure whether it would be better to have the marker on the planet or off the planet, but
I just fire it into space. I don't know, or destroy it. Is there any way to kill it? I don't know. Like
apparently,
blow the planet
you can't
up.
Really destroy them either.
Oh, really?
You have to basically atomize them if you want to destroy them. Like
wow.
a piece of the marker will still cause the same effects as like a whole marker.
Oh, wow.
Interesting. That could also be good for like future games if they were to do that instead of being a full. I don't know if all the games have the full marker involved, or if it's just pieces of it or whatever.
I think all three of them do.
Yeah,
okay.
Probably.
Because it'd be like
I know 1 and 2 do.
Okay, because that's like classic like movie shit where it's like horror movie stuff where it's like, all right, so we blow this up, whatever, and now it's like Child's Play, whatever, where they were gonna go with I think it's Child's Play 3 when like I don't know if any of you have seen that.
I haven't seen many of the Child's Play movies.
Okay, well, it's a killer doll, as I'm sure you know.
Yeah.
And like in the third one, it shows the aftermath of the second movie when they are in like this in this facility where Chucky died, and when they are like grinding stuff up, whatever, he gets grinded up because he's a big mound of flesh and shit because of how they killed him, and blood goes into his blood goes into like a weird vat or something, and it swirls around, and that's how it begins. And the guy who directed it and wrote it, he wanted that to be like, it's going to make a bunch of other Chucky dolls. It's going to, you know what I mean?
Okay.
So I was just saying, like, some horror movies do that, where they're like, just when they've run out of ideas, they're like, all right, well, how do we make more of them? So it's like the marker thing be like, blow it up. And now there's like little bits and pieces everywhere that kind of land on the planets, and now there you go.
And I think it's when you're on the planet that there's like a couple of reveals that happen. First off, that Kendra, one of the people that came with you,
is actually behind everything.
Well, she was aware of everything going on.
Yeah.
And she was there to, I think, retrieve the marker.
Yeah,
well,
she's trying to take the marker back to wherever.
Yeah.
Like him, Mercer is another, like, I don't know what they call. I kept hearing Scientologist, but that's not what it is. It's like humanologist or something like that.
It's like markertologist.
Or something like that, where they believe in this thing.
I can't remember what the name of the religion is.
But whatever it is,
like,
she's involved in it too, and she
Yeah.
actually wants what Mercer wanted, I guess, as well, to like do what I think.
Is she involved with religion? I thought she was part of like a government agency.
Yeah, I thought that too.
Anyway, well, that's what I heard.
Unitology.
Yeah.
what was it?
Unitology.
Unitology. Okay, but it's like the unitology thing is just like a general religion, right? Kind of thing. So I don't think she's just as bad as Mercer. I could be wrong. I think that's what she wanted. I think she's just crazy.
Well, I think she's working for like the CDC people.
Oh, I wanted to bring it back to study it or something.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
they like the marker that's there that they created.
Oh, so they want to keep it going.
The original marker is somewhere else, but they're like.
Well, and it's not active. The black one.
The black one's not
active.
Yeah.
Okay.
They brought it to this planet and activated it before the mining happened and all of that.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, that's right. So yeah, the colony got hit first, right? Because they activated it.
Yes. The colony got hit first. The colony is what crazy first, and
or did they activate it when there was like basically no one there?
I think that's what happened.
Okay.
Well, because they kept saying that over the course of the game, there's video calls and transmissions or whatever saying that the colony has found something or something like that, and then
they put the marker there before anybody showed up. Like they put the marker there and activated it before anybody showed up, and then the mining colony started, and they started mining the planet and found the marker.
Yeah, and I think they did it on purpose, probably to get them infected. I don't know, because the Mercer guy's like, I brought them on board to like test them out or whatever, and do like weird experiments on them. So I don't fucking know. I think that's the thing about this game. I'd say is an issue. Actually, I'll say that later. I'll say that for the last thing, I guess. But I mean, technically, well, okay. So the rest of the game is you have to go down on the planet. I guess Kendra wants to do the same thing, and then the tentacle monster comes out, kills her.
Yeah.
And like just throws her into the abyss, or like at the wall.
It chucks her into a wall.
It's like yeah. And then we have to kill it. And after that, I can't remember if you have to fight the doctor or not. Do you?
I don't think so.
What happened to the doctor?
You tried to escape.
Which doctor?
Dr. Mercer.
Mercer?
Pretty sure he gets killed on the ship at some point.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Because there's a point in time where he was like, here's my ultimate form. Not my ultimate form, but like the ultimate form that I created or whatever. The ultimate creation. And it just regenerates.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, you killed it. That was pretty easy. Rebuild itself. You're, oh, shit.
Yeah.
And Kendra's like, oh, get the fuck out of there. You can't kill it. It keeps regenerating itself. It's like, oh, fuck. But, yeah, so he experiments these things to allow him to do that. There's a lot of audio logs, but not enough for me to really understand what's going on. As far as like, to be fair, I mean, I don't remember all of the logs, but maybe they explain it more in depth. But I don't really understand why they're doing what they're doing. You know, like what's the end goal here? Except for Mercer just wants to do it because he's like, it's God's work. Blah 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 blah.
Well, I think the CDC is connected to Unitology. And they are trying to create what they think is like the next stage of evolution, which is the hive mind.
Oh, okay. It's a weird story. Doesn't really make a ton of sense, but all right.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's
the motivation, I mean.
Well, I mean, they're basically trying to say that humanity is like a baseline of where you start. You need like these intelligent creatures, and then you can make a hive mind, which is like they're basically trying to become like a god, basically, which would be humanity as a hive mind. Right. Okay. Fair enough. It's just that they're like monsterific.
Yeah, I don't want to look like that at all.
Super fucked up.
Yeah. But like the end, I think we're pretty much nearing the end of that, where he kills the thing. I think they put the marker back on the planet. He pieces out.
Yeah, he pieces out, and the Ishimura falls back into the planet with the part of the planet that it attracted.
Yeah, and
and so it like wipes out that facility and the Ishimura.
Right. Okay, and then how does he fly away, Isaac?
He's got a shuttle.
Oh, shuttle. Okay.
Yeah, they found like one working shuttle. They needed like that's one of the parts in the game. They're like this shuttle, but it's got a few damaged pieces or whatever. So you got to go collect the pieces to repair the shuttle so you can actually escape.
Okay, and so that he does that, and I think he brings Nicole with him, and then he like turns aside and has a jump scare, being like, "I'm not alive." Or she pops in, something like that. No, you noticed later before that she's dead.
And then what's her name makes you tells you to watch the full video, and then it shows her like she's talking to him and stuff, and then she injects herself, and you're like, okay, she was dead the whole time.
Right, but she just pops in for a last jump scare at the end.
I don't know.
Yeah,
is that her?
That is her, yeah, for sure. The one with the like light for eyes. She's like, ah. Yeah.
See, I just thought it was a hallucination of
Well,
Isaac, because I think he's
hallucination
been
of
touched
her.
by the marker.
Oh, what?
He's been touched by the marker.
Yeah.
And so, even though he gets away from the marker, it's still part of him. It's inside of him.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of what the plot of the second game is that he has
going through like PTSD
the marker.
and shit like that?
Well, kind of. It's literally like wired into his brain is the marker's design, basically.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And but yeah, all I'm saying is like she wasn't actually there. It's just her
I
premonition
don't think
there.
so. Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure it's a hallucination.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally the hallucination, but it's just like one last jump scare, being like,
Yeah.
"Look at me," blah, and it was scary. It scared the fuck out of me when I first. I was like, "Oh my god!" But I was like, "Oh, we're done." I'm done. Oh shit!
It was definitely startling.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so that's pretty much the entire game. I mean, I wrote definitely way more notes than I should have because I wrote it because I was gonna like, are we gonna go through all these points? Because I literally just like I mapped them out, all the things, and I'm like, I kind of wish I didn't do all that now because we didn't talk about all of it, which I mean would have taken fucking forever.
That's true. I don't know. There are a couple things that I really like about this series. Like, I think that it was in 2009 when it first came out. It was revolutionary that the music cues weren't based off like, in video games usually a music cue of like music or something like that. It's going to be like when you cross a threshold of some sort.
Oh yeah.
You're walking down a hallway and you cross a certain line that the developers have set up, and you walk through it and the music starts playing or something like that.
Yeah, for
the
sure.
way they did it in this game is that it wasn't activated until you were attacked by something.
Oh, okay.
Which is really cool because it means that like your experience can be slightly different as you're playing the game.
Yeah.
Because say you're like got farther, and like sometimes too, if you notice an enemy and kill it before it even attacks you, sometimes a music cue won't even start up.
Oh, okay.
So like I really like that aspect because I don't know, it's just something that now games do that actually quite often, where it will be not just the where the character is standing as a threshold for music or sound cues.
Right. Okay.
But back then it was like, holy shit.
Yeah, for sure. So that's like your reasoning for liking the game.
I mean, no, it's just one thing I just really like in the game.
Well, that's fair. Well,
Yeah.
okay. So that's like, all right. What do you think they're well on that one? Do you think like what's your favorite part or whatever like that?
I just really like the story and the setting. That's what I find the best. Yeah, like I said, I came to it late, and the gameplay just didn't hook me. So
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Yeah, I like the game in general. Of just like the fair part, I guess, is just like you said, the atmosphere. It's pretty much the same thing.
yeah.
I also just really like the character. I I know you said before outside. You didn't mention it in the podcast, I don't think, but you didn't think it was great that he didn't talk.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the silent protagonist.
Yeah, that's fair. Like, I mean, when his helmet's off, for some reason I'm like, he should be talking more because he's a human. For some reason, when his helmet's on, he looks like some sort of other being. And then when you see him not talk, I kind of would have loved to have it, like, as it's going in, you don't see his face at all. It's just his helmet's already on, you don't see anything. Is his head or his face
you
on?
can see his face.
What? Well, yeah, you see the back of his head, but like, it looks like a human.
Well, no, you can turn the camera and stare at his face.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
in the intro before he puts on the helmet, you can actually look at his face.
I just think, like, I don't know, when he takes off the helmet, it kind of loses it a little bit. I don't know why, there's really no reason, but it's just like, when it comes to the character just being fully masked, and it's kind of like Judge Dredd, like, especially that new remake that came out a while back.
Yeah.
He never took his mask off. That's just
No.
what he was. He just always had it on. And so I kind of wanted Isaac to always have that mask on, because it's very iconic, it's very cool looking, and the fact that when he doesn't talk, you wonder why he doesn't talk, maybe something else is going on, whatever, but it just feels like that could be cool for the character. Because I like that he didn't talk, but when he had his mask off, for some reason it felt disjointed. Maybe just a quiet dude, but I don't know.
I understand not liking a silent protagonist. I think in the first game it kind of works just because it adds to the whole isolation feeling, and
Yeah, that's fair.
you don't have this character like quipping or anything like that.
Yeah, totally, for sure.
You're just like, oh shit, I'm stuck in this place by myself.
Yeah.
It's not even that. Like, the quips, you don't need that. it's like in scenes where it's basically just other characters talking to you. There's no response. Like it has a hard time developing the character as well.
Yeah.
Like
because you're not like, oh fuck, or like anything happening, you're just like silent the entire time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a strategy to help the player
connect with.
Yes, and impose their own personality onto the character. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so worst parts of it.
I mean, I already mentioned, I think that asteroid part is fucking stupid.
Okay, asteroid part.
Which is annoying because the part where you're running on the top of the ship, on the outside of the ship, and there's like little meteorite, you're going through like a tiny meteorite field, and like if you step out at the wrong time, you just get fucking annihilated by them.
Oh, yeah.
That part's really cool.
Yeah.
But like the turret part where you're just shooting meteors, it's boring, it's pointless, it doesn't add anything to the game.
Yeah, I agree. I'm the same way there too.
And there's even another turret part that actually is okay, like when you're fighting the giant like monster that's stuck on the side of the ship.
attached.
Yeah, because that makes sense,
sure.
right?
Yeah. And it like that was cool, but I just felt like the asteroid part. It's almost like the asteroid part was to prep the player for that later part.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
But it's annoying and harder than the actual fight. So like,
yeah, right. I think it would be cool if they kind of like went a little more into engineering factors of that, like whether you have when it's fully operational, it'll just start shooting the fucking the asteroid, and
which
you have
I think it does. It does do that. Like I think you have to manually shoot a bunch, and then eventually like a little meter fills up, and the auto takes over, and then it just starts shooting the automatically.
I just think it'd be cool, like, since you're an engineer, just focus on fixing the turret, and then once it's finally finished, like the asteroid's coming even closer to you, and you're on a time limit to get this thing done, and then finally you get it in, and then it starts to shoot them, or you die. So that'd be maybe a little better.
I just hate time limits in games. I think like a mini game to like fix like circuitry or something that would be cool rather than having to shoot random asteroids.
Well, they're annoying too. There's so many of them, and they're tiny, and then they're all of a sudden they're right there, and they smash into the ship, and you're like, my hull integrity.
Not fat. But yeah, I'd say like just in general is that, and just overall, I think the story could have been a little more fleshed out. It was just a little bit confusing in certain areas. Like the whole marketing was cool and neat, and I enjoyed it, but it kind of.
It's a little convoluted.
Yeah,
doesn't make
that's completely fair.
Yeah, so there's that for me. Favorite characters, well, Isaac for me.
Yeah,
because cool.
Yeah, I mean, there's no in a game, especially a game like this. There's no like really big antagonist. There's kind of small antagonists all over the place.
Yeah.
And so there's not really another character you can connect with. It's just Isaac.
Exactly.
I mean, you have kind of your side characters, but they're not even really. They don't feel like they're really.
I mean, I thought Hammond was okay.
Yeah, Hammond was alright for sure, and I mean Kendra was alright.
He has
as well.
like one of the better deaths too in the game.
Just gets fucking by the bruise.
Yeah, by the huge thing.
Yeah. I know that they try to be like, Hammond's behind a lot of it because he won't tell us anything. It's like, by the way, it's Kendra actually.
Yeah. Kind of feels like she's trying to push you to think that he's the main antagonist when really it's her.
Yeah. I will mention though before, one of my favorite parts is, which I found very fucked up and crazy, is when you kind of walk by and you see like this woman, I think she's stripped of all of her skin or something like that, but the person on the surgical bed is stripped of their skin, and she's like just like going at the guy. She's like just like performing some sort of experiment on him or whatever, because she's going crazy.
And then I think once you get close, she slits her own throat, right?
Yeah. And I was like, that's neat. I want more of that kind of thing, showing like these people go fucking nuts.
Yeah. And there's another part where there's like a lady on the ground, and then she blows her own head off.
Yeah. She was like, here's the thing that you need. Yeah. It's like, oh damn. I love that about 2 a lot. Like 2 is like, because like when it comes in, it's scary as fuck. Like I love 2 in the fact of like showing these people like slit their throats and shit like that, and like all these like crazy imagery and all that. I think it kind of went. Actually, no. As far as I remember, 2 was just great all around. I love 2. 2 is so good.
I like 2 as well. I feel like, personally, I find it's a little less scary for me because there's just a few too many characters. I feel like they kind of bloated it a little bit. But I still think it's like a really, really good game. I'm impartial to the first one.
Yeah, that's fair. That's the only thing that I would say that would make this. I mean, that also made a good one for a sequel, showing the stuff. But like the second one didn't have a lot of that stuff. Of like, it had a few things of showing people go insane. But like the second one had like a guy like smacking his face on the fucking on the wall, and all that stuff like that. Somebody slitting their own throat. Somebody trying to like attack you while they're being going nuts, kind of thing. And it was pretty neat.
Well, and I mean, there's that whole needle in the eye part, and you're like,
yep.
Yeah, that's like one of the most stressful parts of a game I've ever played. Trying to get a needle into your character's eye.
I don't want to do that. In the brain it goes. Whoops. Yeah. Was the writing good or bad?
I think the writing's pretty good.
Okay.
I think that there's a couple of parts that probably are like could be improved, but
yeah,
generally I think that, especially for the time, like pretty good writing.
Yeah, I think their writing's pretty good. The voice acting lacks a little bit in places, but that's also a sign of the times. Like we've come a long way with voice acting and voice actors in video games. So
yeah, totally. Yeah, I agree. I would say the exact same that you said. Just like it was good for the time. It kind of look back at it, it's a little dated, but
yeah.
But that just goes with the times, right? It's not really anything like on the movie itself. No. It's just like kind of just what happened. That's okay. But
yeah.
I will say though that like, and this is the same thing product at the time. Completely. The graphics don't hold up very well, but some
really?
of them, well, I mean, I think the faces don't. Like everything else is good, but the faces of the characters just look off and just look kind of weird to me.
Yeah, that's the main thing with the graphics is the faces definitely dated. The environments and stuff still look pretty good, but
yeah,
the gore looks really good still.
The gore does look really good still, yeah, because I watched it recently like last night and I'm like, everything else looks good, but those faces, oof. They're kind of like not PS2, but they're like, well, PS3 obviously because when it came out, but it was dated.
Well, it was only 2 years after PS3, I think, right?
Yeah, something like that.
PS3 2007. That sounds about right.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, so.
Okay.
I mean,
still
maybe they're not.
Footing.
Yeah, they're still finding their footing with the capabilities of the PS3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, just product of the time. What would you change if you could change anything about the story, or anything?
I mean, I would prefer more. Like, I know this sounds weird, but I feel like it's a game that could have had more logs and stuff, like not just the audio logs. It would be nice to have some stuff to read and stuff like that to help flesh it out some more, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
It depends on the game, but like especially in this one where they've got all this lore built up that maybe doesn't come through quite in the audio logs. Like I'm fine with like reading and stuff like that. If I'm like really interested in the story, yeah, I'll go through all the written logs and read through all of them. But yeah, some games you're just like, I can't be bothered to read all this.
Yeah, sometimes there's too many.
Yeah,
it's so many. You're like, oh my god, so much.
Something like Dead Space, I would probably go through them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fair. Like for me, like I think a little bit of both is good. If you have all just reading and that's how you show your story, I'm not down for that. Too much reading, I can't like. It can't completely stick in my brain what's going on. I need to see it. So like seeing that and also maybe having some extra on top of that with like some scribbles or whatever somebody's shown on the side being like, I wrote this before I died kind of thing. Or whatever. Yeah. It'd be kind of neat.
I mean, it'll be interesting with the remake, like what are they going to change?
How are they going to change things?
Because honestly, like
it's probably
I said, it's I mean, it's not actually flawless, but like no game is. Like it's pretty well constructed. It's like, you know,
it's
true. It's like I wonder what more they're gonna do than up the graphics and
because it's a ground up remake, right?
Yeah, so, I think so. I like how much are they gonna change of the story? How much are they gonna keep the same? Like.
Yeah, I mean, also, it could be good for the story, it could be bad for the story if they change it immensely, right?
Yeah.
Because, as I said before, the story could be better.
It's different developers, too. Because, what is it called? Visceral?
Okay.
Visceral got disbanded after Dead Space 3. EA just evaporated them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, this didn't do well.
Yeah, basically. They were like, didn't hold up didn't do as good as numbers as Dead Space 2, so
yeah,
they just destroyed they just separated and destroyed the developer. Yeah,
interesting. Okay, well, we'll see how that turns out, I guess. Yeah. I'm hoping for it to be good. What would you say if you have one, like best moment of the game that you went through as a gameplay? If you, I don't know, like, well, didn't play through the entirety, but it was like a hilarious moment that happened to you, like how you died or whatever.
It's a tough question when you're not coming off like a fresh playthrough. It's a tough question when you're not coming off like a fresh playthrough of a game.
Yeah, it is, for sure. Because it's been years since I played it.
Yeah.
Because like the only thing that comes into mind is like, I think it was when I was the dry tentacle thing. Remember when they're dragging you?
Oh yeah, that was
across the ground. Intense. That was a cool thing, but I didn't make it that time, and I think it brings you into a fan or something. But like, I was just not, and just the way that like I think it's something hits you and you explode. I think, and I'm like, oh my god, like why'd that happen? I am not okay.
Oh man, the way like. I swear, I don't know if you guys ever played Evil Within, but I swear they like ripped off Dead Space for like exploding bodies.
Yeah, totally.
If it was a Resident Evil or Evil Within that did the same tentacle leg pull thing, but yeah, I definitely remember those in another game.
Yeah.
I'm for a game like this. I think that the boss battles are actually good in the first one. Like you fight like the one that's in the food processing unit, and that one's like hard, and it has the gravity part to it because it's a cylindrical room, and you can literally go around the entire room. Right?
Yeah, that was cool. There wasn't a ton of bosses, but the ones that were there were like noticeable and they were cool.
Yeah, I think there's like 3. There's that. There's, I mean, if you can call it a boss, the
tentacle thing coming dragging you away is also half a boss-ish.
Well, that's not really a boss.
The thing clinging onto the outside of the ship is kind of a boss battle, even though you're using the turret. And then there's the hive mind at the end.
Oh, and then there's also that because he like hunts you down over the course of the game a few times. The regenerating
one, yeah.
I'd call it like a mini boss, maybe.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
But yeah,
it's a very specific way you have to kill it.
Yeah. Which, I don't know, how do you kill
Actually,
it?
There's a couple of those ones, isn't there? Because there's one you light on fire, and then I think there's one you put in, like, a cryo thing, right?
Oh, yeah, I think the cryo thing is weird. Yeah, I think that's right.
I think from what I remember from what I watched was, you put it in, like, a cryostasis thing, but it like, manages to get out of there.
Oh, okay.
And so you have to fight it again and take it down.
And I think you use like the shuttle's thrusters to like evaporate it,
torch the shit out of it.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, what would you give the rating for this game then? If you were to give it a rating,
I'd probably give it at like 9. Honestly.
Nice. Okay.
I really enjoyed it.
Fair enough.
Stuck with me for a long time.
Yeah, I can't really like I never played through the whole game. I watched most of my Dead Space experience is watching playthroughs, but so I can't really give it a full rating. But for the story and the atmosphere, I'd give it like an 8 or 9. Yeah.
Okay, 8 or 9, nice. Yeah, I think for me, I'd say like the only thing that brings it down is just a little bit of the story is like convoluted and hard to understand, and some things don't make sense. But I think I give it probably about. Because I mean, at the time I was like, this game's fucking amazing. And I was like, it's like a fucking 10 out of 10.
Oh yeah, and then, like, when I first played it, I was like, this is perfect.
Yeah, it's 8.5. I do the points, yes, but yes, 8.5 out of 10. It's a pretty really good rating in general. Quite enjoyed it. It was scary.
Yeah, there is something about not necessarily like this game, but games kind of like this. That where you're done playing, you just want to know more. You want to know more story. So even though you don't necessarily go back and like play through the game again, because that's just going to give you the same, you go online and you try to look up more story and what other people think and theories and stuff.
Yeah.
I love it when games
cause that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree.
Where you can kind of dive more into the lore and.
Yeah, something that's kind of like, I guess like you could say that, but like when it comes to like a lot of games and whatnot that has a lot of shit going on in it, makes you want to go back and play it again or do some like research or whatever else. It's more than just playing the game, kind of thing, which is interesting. Which I mean, Five Nights at Freddy's did that, but then it kind of shot itself in the face by doing too many. By doing too many, and now it's like, can't even care anymore.
I also don't. In that game, I don't think there was really a big plan in the first place.
No, it is.
So
yeah,
I mean, Dead Space feels like it was like well planned out.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like they had ideas for future stuff even in that first game.
Yeah.
Like, even though they didn't have approval yet to like go on with sequels, they were like, no, we can lay the groundwork for more to come. Like,
yeah, and that's the best games do that. They leave room and they make it so it's easy to fit another game on the end.
Yeah.
And
but like
yeah.
it still feels like a pretty complete game though still.
Yeah.
Like even on its own.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I
it does
agree.
it does a good job of balancing those
Yeah,
two.
and it's one of those things, like, with the way the story is, like, at the end, it could, if they didn't end up making a second one, they could even just put out, like they did with the animation they did, like the prequel anime. They could have done something at the end as well to kind of tell the story of what happens after if they weren't able to get a second game going. But,
yeah, right.
I mean, I have to admit, I am still kind of a little bit sore of where the like original trilogy ended, and like just left so many questions, and I was like, and I want to know what happens to Earth after there's all these like crazy ass hive mind planets surrounding it.
Okay.
Like, well, we're starting over now. So
Yeah, I guess they're gonna probably remake 1. They might remake 2 again. They might remake 3. I don't know.
I mean, it fully depends on how well it performs.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the thing. Like, games like Dead Space 3, I can totally be like, yes, remake that. Because as far as I remember, I mean, I haven't actually played it myself. I've seen people play it and all that, and I've heard people talk about it. The fact that it was a little very action oriented. You probably could change it and put it more in the horror aspects of things.
For sure.
So that would make sense. You could doing 1 just to amp up the graphics, maybe like tweak around the story just a tad, and then the second one, maybe the same thing, and then the third one just completely just do an overhaul.
Maybe. I don't know. Like, I still don't hate that third game. It is like lacking in like the horror side of things.
Yeah.
But it's still like an exciting game to play.
Oh, for sure.
And you can do co-op, which is sweet. Like you can. It's got very
oh yeah, that's
like
right.
Resident Evil like
co-op.
5 and 6 vibes, where you can actually play co-op with another person. Yeah, and like he's involved in the story too. Like the other character is there. Yeah,
that's pretty neat. Okay. Well, is there anything else you guys want to mention about the game, or anything that you found was cool, or whatever?
I don't know. I just hope the remake lives up to the hype.
Me too. I hope it
Agreed.
doesn't destroy it. It's like, we made it.
never
It
know,
sucks.
right? Yeah.
Fuck. I mean, the worst. Well, I mean, I guess you don't know that until people like be like, "Oh, this is good." But I mean, when you test the game out, you show it to a bunch of people. People are like, "This isn't very good." And you're like, maybe you should redo some things.
Well, one of the big problems with the gaming industry today is that they don't do enough QA testing.
Yeah.
'Cause they don't want to hire QA testers.
That's true.
They'd rather release like a beta and just send it out to players. And
Yeah.
And then if they hate it, they're like, "Well, we're gonna give you a patch later." And it's like, could you just not give me like a good version first? Like an actual, like,
well, like they'll do like closed betas where it's not the actual game release, but it's like out there for players to play so that they can send back feedback to the company to see if they can improve things or notice bugs and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I just noticed there's a lot of like they send out to the fans, people that want to play the game, and then they like, especially on Steam, will be like, "Oh, there's a problem with this, the problem with this," and they're like, "Okay, we can fix that." It's like, hire your own damn testers, for God's sake.
Yeah,
Like,
they don't want to pay them. That's basically it.
Yeah.
Which is stupid because video games make so much money. Like,
Yeah, right? It's like, fucking goddamn it. Like, whatever. Anyways, I think that's probably it, eh? You guys want to talk about anything else?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. All right, well, thank you guys for tuning in to the second episode. Another episode will be coming out soon. Not sure what we're going to be doing, but we'll do some brainstorming and figure out what we're going to do. And we'll come at you with a new episode soon. And please hit that subscribe button down below and a like on the video when this is on YouTube. And we'll see you guys in the next one. See you guys later.
Later.
see ya.